You're muted.
Yeah, so I overheard Kill. No. Is it Ben? No, it's
Still muted.
Pastor. What she said? She said she's like, I think Kill having a relationship problems. That's what she said. He's not having those potential. Also, just letting during that conversation, Pastor chatting, he's like, "Hey, how are you?" I talked to him about just like how we're doing it, but he's not against us. And so Mike was talking to me like, "Oh, I should ask, I should call him basically and ask him, hey, and say, hey, your wife is responding."
Can you guys hear me now? Okay. Do you guys see the word recording in the upper right corner? Okay. All right. Noble, I think our feedback is coming from you again. If you can do anything. All right. Okay. Sorry, guys. Let's give this is, I'm glad we're not podcasting yet. So this was a little bit of practice. It does show that we're recording. Brooke, do you want to try to give us a kickoff here?
I'll try. I will do better moving forward. But yeah, sure. Let's give it a little try.
The old Brooke give heave ho.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Welcome to the Polythrive Show, where we teach individuals the blueprint on how to thrive. We are going to get into the nitty-gritty on who we are, where we will talk about and I just lost my train of thought.
Use the screen if you want, like anything that's on there that might help guide. Maybe one of the things you could go into is if you pick a topic up here and say something that you've done well with or you've struggled with.
Yeah. Okay. So today we're going to get in the nitty-gritty of who we are and what we're doing and why it's important to us. One of the things is relationship building, how to step into leadership, financial skills, things of that sort, because I'm sure we all have our own stories on where we have maybe failed short of it, or maybe we just felt like we didn't have the right tools in order to get into the places we wanted to get into in life. And so we found ourselves not receiving the results we wanted because we just didn't have what it was. I know I personally have lots of stories, even as a 30-year-old, with just death and divorce and maybe not getting that position that I wanted. But even years later, finding out that it was actually probably in the best that I didn't, but just learning all those different skill sets.
Yeah, that's great. I love that because, at the time when people are going through this and what we're going through this, whatever this is, and what we're really trying to tell folks is that there's a lot of life ahead of you, and there's going to be bumps down the road. You can't avoid it. As much as we can teach and the best things that we can do to teach you, you just can't avoid the messiness. It's going to happen. But what we can do is try to help you prepare for the messiness so that when it comes, you feel able and ready, I guess, to work through it. And that there's going to be a better you on the other side. So, Brooke, why don't we just stay on that for a moment? I love what you said, is that now you feel that, you're in a better position. But tell us a little bit about what you thought at the time. Like, it certainly didn't feel that way at the time, I would imagine.
Oh God, no, no. Honestly, it felt like I was behind in life. It felt like I was doing the wrong things. And there are some times where I had this like little thought would come in and be like, "Oh, there's something wrong with you," because when you look around, everyone else appears to be doing it right or having the things that I wanted. And it just seemed like it took me a lot longer to get to those places, which again, now looking as a 30-year-old, I'm so grateful because of the different skill sets and tools and character that I developed during that time. But in the moment, man, it was just like hell
Yeah,
sometimes
I'm
because
sure.
yeah, it
Yeah.
just, there's a lot that goes into that mess, but I'm very grateful for that mess.
Yeah. I want to turn it over to, I want to ask the younger guy's opinion here in just a second. But Brooke, if you had to look back, and I know you're 30, and we could almost say you're almost 30 and a half now. Um, but
Don't
as
rush.
as of all of 30 years, when you look back at your life and you kind of think, I was a different Brooke then versus then, at different times in your life, how do you think of that? Like, do you think of that in counts of years? Give me like, I think of that in 2-year increments, 5-year increments, 10-year increments, or how, or something even entirely different. How do you think of that?
I think for me, it comes in more of seasons. Like there are some where it felt like it was just, a few months of, then sometimes it felt like it was a few years. But I think what it really comes down to, regardless of the time frame, is what I had to learn in that season in order to get to that next stage. And so some lessons took me just a little bit longer than others.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, so I think that the time frame feels very different, but I definitely feel like I've lived lots of lifetimes in
Yeah.
3 short
Yeah.
decades.
And one more question, then I'm going to throw it over. But I feel like, we've gotten to know you pretty well over the last couple of years, and it feels to me like, just not too many years ago, you had probably a couple really hard things hit. So that's definitely a season in life, as opposed to chunking it up in every 5 years. It just doesn't work that way, right? It could be a whole bunch of things in one year, and then kind of a steady stream for a while.
For sure, it definitely felt that way. Like there was a few months, half a year, whatever, where it was just like bam, 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 and I'm like, oh my gosh. And
Yeah.
then now, for the most part, it felt like life has really kind of settled down. And but I think it's also just going back to all of those lessons that I endured in my 20s. And now in my 30s, it's like, okay, I have a better rhythm, a better understanding. I know what I want. I know who I am. I actually like who I am. So life is, sure, I still have, those moments and difficulties, but I am met with it in different ways now
Yeah.
because of what I've gone through.
Yeah. And I promise I'm going to go to the guys, but it just made me think of one more question, and I'm going to do a clap here real quick. Give me 1 second. JP had to cut out, and he's back. I just did a clap, JP, because I wanted to pause something here. Is, I may say something here, and I might find out that what I'm about to say actually works later in the podcast and not right here. So we may cut it and move it, something like that. But so now we're going to continue the conversation. So Brooke, um, given what you learned or didn't learn in school, is there anything that you feel school could have done better? Is there anything that, hey, I wish I would have known this, when you got to that season of life?
Oh my gosh. I think the list is so long that I don't have time right now to go into that. I am very appreciative of, teachers and education and all of that. But I do feel like those who are, I guess, creating the curriculum and those above just are missing out on a lot of life skills that, we
Hmm.
really need just to even sustain, right?
Hmm.
Not even to get to the point of thriving yet, but yeah, there's a lot that's missing in school for
Yeah.
sure. And hopefully in this podcast we get to, teach others about what we've learned and from all different ages.
Yeah. Very cool. Okay. JP, you're the youngest one here. What we're talking about here is, Brooke has been out of school now for a number of years, has definitely run into some tough times in life, but again, she's in a better place now because of her durability, her grit, and how she came through it. So, JP, talk a little bit about what we should be learning in school versus what you think we're learning in school right now to deal with those problems that are come later in life. Again, life's going to be messy no matter how skilled you are, because it's just dealing with people. People are messy. So what should we be teaching our students?
Um, I would say, it's some classes. I'm not sure if they have them like as far as like outside of school, but it's some classes like learning to take a step into your future.
Yep.
Like
Okay. I like it. I like where you're going.
it's kind of like what they teach us in school is just it's not something we really use in the real life, and it's not teaching you how you're supposed to go throughout life and how life will treat you. They don't have any like classes
Hmm.
that's teaching life skills that you need in order to be able to live.
So let me jump in there, JP. You're a young man who's trying to do some really great things in your community. You've seen a lot of messiness. I know. Gotten to know JP just here in the last month a little bit, and JP has had some tough things happen. Um, give us a little bit of, um, if the school had taught me this, I might have been better ready to handle that kind of a situation. We're not going into details about your situation, and that's okay. And if you want to speak about it, that's fine. If you don't, that's fine. But we're really more interested in what would have helped to get you prepared.
I would say if they have kind of classes that handle grief and depression, like just letting the students know that they're seen, they're heard,
Hmm.
and then that they're not alone.
Okay.
And that's not something that they have in the school, in my opinion. I
Yeah.
don't know if it's just the schools that I've been going to, but
I agree.
No, I don't think so. And I do feel that a lot of people do feel that they have to go through these things alone. And as you get older, you realize that alone is a lonely place. I mean, it sounds so corny, but there are a lot of people who are out there willing to help. I'll give a quick example. I was attending a rehab class with our young man, our adopted son, and we were in with a group of kids, and there's probably 15 kids and 10 parents that were there, and they handed out a questionnaire to everybody, and they asked the parents to fill it out as well. And one of the first questions they asked was, when I am struggling with something, and I can't remember exactly how the question with, this is usually how I handle it. And the first answer was, I don't need anybody in my life to help me with anything. I don't need anybody. And then they went down through, I like to go to this person. I like to go to this person. And I thought, being the smart, educated person that I am, I said, well, nobody's going to answer that first one. And the very first kid that they came to, that's the exact answer that he chose. I don't need anybody in my life. And I think we spent the rest of the class on that question, and that answer, because I was very almost too bold. I was vocal to the kid, is that's just dumb, and he's like, you don't know my life. I'm like, yeah, I don't know your life, but you can't go through life on your own thinking that you can handle every situation. There's just too many smart people, too many loving people out there, and you got to find them. So, do your best to change the circumstance. I don't know if it was the best advice at the time, but that was the circumstance I was in. But Noble, how about yourself? You've got just a couple years on JP. What would you like to see that prepares you? Or if you want to talk about a situation, that's fine. If you don't, but just jump in here. And I think you're on mute, bud. Still nothing. Let's see. I don't think it's me. I can't mute, or I can't. Oh, I think we
You might
got.
be able to mute or unmute him as a. Um,
Yeah, let me look here. I can unmute him. Can't unmute your guest because they chose to mute themselves. Okay, so Noble, you're muted right now. Um, yeah, we'll give you. Okay, he's coming back in, and then Brooke. At this time, we might continue this conversation, or we might just let's slide to something else. If you want to, like, as we're going here, all the boys are jabbering. If you think of hey, let's jump into the next thing. And, because again, we're talking about who we are. And I can already see that. See, we're 15 minutes into a conversation, and we probably want this to be a half an hour show. So now we need to start thinking about talking of, like really who we are. So yeah, hey Noble.
Okay. So for me personally, as being a homeschooled kid of throughout all of high school, I like to look back at what I learned with how I was taught to learn stuff.
Hey Noble, I'm gonna just suggest try move the mic around your mouth just a little bit, and let's hear it. Just go ahead and say test, test, test.
Test.
Much better, much better. Right where you had it.
All right, sorry about that.
That's
I kind
okay.
of had coffee, which is making my voice a lot deeper
Yeah.
and harder to understand. But basically, being homeschooled my whole life, I was taught that if something's not useful, then you have no reason.
Okay, hold on a second. Noble, you're looking at your camera instead of having your mouth go towards where your speaker is. Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. Remember, this is not a broadcast; it's a podcast. So the audio is the most important here.
Uh,
And he froze. All right, I'll tell you what. Let's move on here. We got enough content for right now. Let's move on. And this obviously is not this show right now is not meant to be. This was a practice. It's not the quality that we're looking for the show. So we're just working out the kinks. And I don't think even Noble can hear me. And I'm gonna send a message to the guests. I'm gonna use that chat feature, private chat. Give me a second. Noble, you're breaking up badly. And that should pop up to all of you folks, right? There's a chat there that you guys can see. On your right-hand side, there's probably a button that might say private chat. JP or Brooke, can you guys see that? Brooke, you got it? Okay. All right. Well, good. We'll let Noble come back in. Okay. So, Brooke, why don't you, I know that you don't know what we're trying to do as good as I do because I've lived this for years now trying to figure this out. And here comes Noble. All right. Hey, Noble.
Yeah.
Can you hear us? Okay.
Can you hear it?
That sounds much better. Yeah. Yep. But we're gonna move on because and not to drop you, but we want to go to what's the show about. So
Absolutely.
we have enough content already. And I was just saying this is not show quality yet. We're not quite there. This is meant to be practice so that we work out the kinks. So that's what this is doing. All right. Brooke, putting you on the spot, try to take us to the next part. Like if we wanted to talk about what we are, what are we going to do? We're going to do a show, once a week, blah, 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 just jabber and we'll jump in and help out.
Okay. Quick question. Am I supposed to be tying in the last conversation or you want me to just kind of jump back?
Yeah, you could a little bit. You could say, as you can hear from the comments, there are missing critical skills, which is what we're here to talk about, and that's going to be part of our show. Something to that effect.
Okay. Okay. So as you can hear from all the different perspectives, there's a lot of life skills, relational skills, social skills, financial skills, just skills in general that are missing from today's world in the education system and being passed down from family and whatnot. So it's going to take us a lot of time to kind of go into all these different topics. So I think we're going to be dropping one about every single week at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time every Thursday. To be able to go into these different skills.
Yep. And we've got 23 to 25 items here. The first two that are listed there, the why and the when, kind of is this umbrella over the rest of the skills. But each one of those things, there's 23 modules that we have. They talk about our opinion of what we feel are really the missing education that comes or doesn't come from our schools today. And of course, each one of those modules has 10 different skills that we can many sub bullets, sub topics that need to be discussed about. So we're going to talk about those quite a bit. Noble, since we didn't get to talk to you earlier, can you hear us okay?
Hold on. Yep, I can hear
Okay.
you.
Okay. Can you see the screen? And I'm going to ask you just to pick one of those topics off the screen and just talk a little bit about what interests you.
All right, I'm trying to zoom in here. One of these topics on like the why, the when, the elements or skills to build success, or
Yeah, just pick one and go. And then remember when you start, get the microphone in front of you and don't worry about the screen.
all right. So health is something that I feel as though not many people really prioritize in terms of business. What a lot of people do is they neglect health so that they can focus primarily on succeeding. However, in doing so, that actually shortens their lifespan a lot by creating a bunch of anxiety and stress that will actually hurt them later on. But that's not, it's just not something they focus on because they don't want to have to, because it
Yeah.
seems as though something else on the side. However, you really do want to focus on it because you can't work forever if you're consistently degrading your health
Right.
by working too much.
So let me ask. I went through the public school system. Noble, I believe you're homeschooled, right?
Yep, homeschool until college.
JP, are you in public school? Are you in IPS school, or where? How do you school?
I'm virtual.
You're virtual, okay. And Brooke, what did you do?
Yeah, it was public.
Public school, okay. So back when I was in school, a joke just came into my head about Eddie Murphy saying, "Back when I was a little children," um, but health was, or actually phys ed was the name of a class that was mandatory. You had to go to the classes, and some of them were, some of the things that we were supposed to go through were were pretty rigorous, which is not at all like it is today. And I felt a little bit bad because I just naturally I was in pretty good shape. I did a lot of workouts, but I was in pretty good shape regardless, and I could do most of the things. But there were kids who, didn't have that same fortune. They were heavy or not very strong, um, and the school didn't really teach about getting past that. They just said, hey, do push-ups, and how many can you do? Well, why are we doing this? Why? What's the purpose of it? They didn't really teach a whole lot, and they certainly didn't teach somebody who wasn't as healthy. What do you do about that? How do you get there? Because that would have helped maybe those people later in life. um, Now, jumping ahead many years, I hear all the time that schools are dropping phys ed, or they have dropped phys ed, and it's no longer even a thing that the schools do. So I'm going to ask again the young guys here, what do schools do or teach? JP, you're in a public school. No, I'm sorry, you said you're virtual. So there's not really any teaching, or not teaching, but you don't physically do anything actively for a phys ed class. I'm assuming they don't have something like that, but tell me what you got.
I don't think I do, actually.
Okay. Like have you ever had I mean, since you're virtual, I'm assuming you don't have a class where they tell you to go out and run a mile, right?
Yeah, so I mean, I kind of do, but I don't. So it's to a point to where I gotta prove that I did the workouts.
Okay. Okay. So you were supposed to do them, but send in some kind of proof, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I remember back in school, they had an actual course laid out, and I was not a track runner, and this wasn't on a real track, but they had a course laid out, and we were supposed to run. I know it wasn't a mile because they wouldn't have asked people to do that, but you were trying to run and see how fast you could do the time that you did. Brooke, what'd you have back in public school?
No, same. We had gym class, and actually, I don't remember what grade it started, but I was thinking about this last night when I was at my niece's competition for color guard, because it's on the football field and there's a track around it. We used to have to run 4 laps, which equaled a mile,
Yep. Yep.
under a certain time. I don't remember what it was now, but yeah, we used to have to do that. And I was just thinking about that last night, actually.
Okay. Yeah, I remember that the phys ed teacher that we had, and that's what it was called back in the day, was phys ed, physical education. That there was some kind of test, and I don't remember what the test was, but it was like an annual physical test that that the schools had to turn in. You know, how many of your kids can do X? How many of them can't do X? And when I say how many, that was usually a percentage. You know, if we said 25 kids could do it, well, that might sound like a lot, but 25 out of 2000 is not a lot. 25 out of 26 is a lot. You know, so it was probably more of a percentage. But yeah, so anyhow, going back to what we're trying to do here, Brooke laid it out nicely. That we do want to drop a show here, and guys, I'm still in show mode here. Like, we're talking to our customers. Like, who are we? We want to drop a show weekly. We're targeting Thursdays to have the show come out, and okay, we got people that were dropping and coming back in. See if there's JP. Noble said he's having troubles coming back in. So, and I'm just going to wrap this up. So we've got a lot of subjects here that we're going to go over. If I were to say, and I'm not going to, this is not going to be our show, but if I were to say relations, you know, obviously there's a ton to unpack when it comes to relations and relationships. So there's probably 25 pieces that we have, you know, that we can do a show about with relationships, and we won't do all 25, but we'll pick some that are the most important, and we'll get some feedback from you, the audience, on what, you know, what struggles you have, and that'll help guide us. So this is meant to be interactive. Guide us and tell us what is good for you. What do you want to hear about? What do you struggle with? And drop us an email or drop us a text. We're available for viewing on TikTok. We do have a YouTube site out there. Just continue to look for Polythrive Coaching, and we will wrap it up for today. So everybody say goodbye. Bye, everybody. But don't hang up yet. I'm just saying that for the show. All right. Okay, so we've had some struggles today. We're having struggles with connectivity and things like that. So we got to work those out. Noble didn't make it back. I was looking at the ideas for the name, and this one keeps coming back to me a little bit, and I just wanted to get your opinion. I know we talked about Thriving Life Blueprint. I do like the word blueprint, but I just thought of something short and snappy. Thrive Monkey. There are a lot of companies out there. For some reason, they use the word monkey. Like, everybody I think knows the company called Survey Monkey. Have you guys familiar with that? And they just have a simple picture of a chimp from a side view or a face view of a chimp or something like that, I think. But I was thinking about this last night, Thrive Monkey, and it almost to me kind of fits because, you know, humans, us, we're supposed to, you know, the evolutionary scale puts us, you know, what is the closest animal next to humans that we're related to? And it's monkeys, you know. So I don't know what you think about that. It's kind of catchy and short. Any good or bad about that? I'm not sold on it, but I just wanted to throw it out there and chat about it.
I like the catchiness of it. However, I've always been taught that whenever you're creating a product, especially when you're new and you don't have that presence yet created, you need to make a name for if somebody's searching, like, for example, anxiety, like you want that to pop up.
Yeah.
So no one's going to be typing monkeys unless they're literally trying to figure out, you know, something with animals. The Thrive might pop up, but I think if I was searching something to like how to better my life and I saw, I think you said Thrive Monkey, I probably would look past it because I would think it's animal based. So
yeah, maybe it has to do with a zoo or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. JP, any thoughts?
She sold it. She sold
Okay.
it. Yeah.
Okay. Give me 1 second here. I should have this document up in front of me, and I forgot about it, but I know it's really close here. So just give me 1 second here. It's under podcast. Yeah, it's this version right here. So I'm going to keep this document hand. Yeah.
No, go ahead. It can wait.
This is the document I pulled up last time. We talked about our description, all the things. I'm not going to stop and go through this again. All the videos that I collected that I said would be good to look at and learn from, podcast tips. And then there's this girl, I forget what her name is, Jade. She's British. I think she does a great job. And where I'm going to is the names. And this was okay. This was my top list. This was Noble and Brooke here, and then this was JP. So Thriving Life Blueprint. I think we're kind of landing in that direction. So if you guys see anything else there that jumps out at you,
This is
or
just
thought of
the-
anything since then,
correct.
this is for the podcast, yes. As opposed to like the company name or the book name or stuff like that. Is that where you're going?
Yeah, because I mean, I don't know how you. I'm not in love with this idea, but one is simple and it speaks to exactly what we're doing. Is just blueprint to thrive. So it just kind of swaps it. Is
Yep,
one.
Yep. Okay.
I like that.
Yeah. One of the thoughts that we could do is that if the name's catchy enough and it's resonating out there with people, that who knows, that could be the book name, that could be the TikTok brand that we go under, that could all those things that where we have the possibility of showing it.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm thinking out loud here. I'm just processing that a little bit. That the more that you can get that one name, the better. It would be. I think it would hurt us more if we had the podcast by this name and then a TikTok page of a different name. That doesn't help us out at all. Okay. Give me a second here. I'm just going to highlight that. All right. Okay, we're just about an hour here, so I think we're going to wrap it up here pretty soon. Other thoughts about what we're doing here? Again, we have to, if we're going to do a show, it's going to have to be, audio quality has to be there. So I'm going to listen to this a little bit. I know that one of the things, and I can't do it on the software that I'm listening to or that we're on right now, but in fact, you know what, I'm going to look at that a little bit. What I'm going to look at is, you guys know this, when you see a microphone on screen, you see the levels go up and down. I'm going to see if there's a way that it can show the audio levels, because, my voice is probably different than Brooks, different JP's, different than certainly Noble. So we'll have to get that figured out. Okay. Anything else? Any other thoughts?
I have two.
Yes, ma'am.
The quick little comment about, I don't know if you're aware, but on at least Spotify with podcasts, you can actually comment on the podcast itself. So just something to think of moving forward, instead of like an email, they could always, and that also, I believe that helps with pushing your show up to the top more.
Okay.
Obviously, everybody wants. I don't know about other platforms. And then my second comment or question really is, when it comes to these shows, I understand the big idea, but with each show, are you wanting us to all kind of come in with like one personal story and like a lesson with it, with the topic? Is that what you're kind of wanting?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think that makes sense. So if, I think I said earlier when we were talking, is that when we sit down and actually do our first couple of recordings, we probably want to do 3 to 5 at least, because we don't want to just release our first one and it's only one. We don't want to send people to a site to look for podcasts and all they see is one. We want them to see at least 3. So somewhere in this document that I'm showing right now, I think I've listed 10. That may not be the first 10, but yeah. The next time we meet, we'll pick a topic and, we'll send it out. Everybody will know ahead of time, and everybody can come with, either you got a great story, a bad story, an educational story, something that you want to just talk about, because it's worthwhile having the listeners here, because if they haven't gone through it yet, they probably will.
Yeah. Yeah. I think having a relatable story would be very helpful for them to at least be like, oh yeah, like I've done that, I've heard that, or somebody else, and then a lesson with it. And then we can actually kind of ping off of each other or with questions or comments or whatever.
Yeah. Okay. JP, I see you kind of there with a big old smile on your face. What's going on?
Oh, nothing much. I was just giving some ideas to my grandfather.
Okay. All right. All right. JP, you're going to get the final thought here. What's going through your mind about where we are, where we're going?
I think we got it. I think we got it going. But okay. I do say there's some things that we should talk about, like visualization. Like
I didn't hear what you said there.
like they gotta see something. Like I know we mainly want to focus on the podcast part,
Oh, okay. I got you.
but I think we can, and even if it's just one time, like once we do it and we can just upload it once, like we could do something like a trailer or something, like
Mm-hmm.
something like that.
Okay. I like it. Um, when you said about how do they see, or you said about seeing something, and I wrote that, the first thought that went to my mind is, can we put something on the website that as we're doing the podcast, it has a link and it says, hey, for more information on this, go to the, we could just put different links, and it may not even be to us. We may talk about a topic, and we might say, hey, there's a great YouTube video out there on this, and that can also be something that we don't have to necessarily come up with everything, because there's a lot of great materials out there. We could just say, we were talking on this topic, and if you want to see a really great video on it, if you want to read a really great book on it, here's something else. I mean, we'll talk about it, of course, but we don't have to come up with every single piece of content here. So, all right, guys. Brooke, I hope your headache feels better. I got to work on mine today too. And enjoy your day, guys.
See ya.
Okay.
All right now.
Okay. Bye-bye.